The $1 spice that science can't stop talking about. This $1 spice has been studied in over 10,000 scientific papers, yet most people have no idea what it actually does inside the body. What if I told you your body can barely absorb it on its own? And the real shock isn't the spice itself. It's what happens when you combine it with something already in your kitchen. A simple combination can increase absorption by up to 2,000%. So the question is, how did something so common become so scientifically interesting? Hey everyone. I'm Blue. Welcome back. Today we're diving into something that's probably sitting in your kitchen right now. Turmeric. That bright yellow spice your grandma might have put in everything. But here's the thing. Over the last couple of decades, scientists have published more than 10,000 studies on the active ingredient in turmeric, called curcumin. 10,000! That's more than most prescription drugs get. So what's the big deal? Because if this is true, it means something extremely simple might be doing way more than we thought. Why are researchers from Texas to Tokyo so obsessed with this kitchen spice? And no, this isn't hype. This is coming from real data. And what does black pepper, yes, regular black pepper, have to do with it? Stick around because the science here is genuinely fascinating. And I promise I'll keep it simple. By the way, if you're enjoying this breakdown, consider subscribing. I regularly turn complex science into simple, understandable stories like this. Section 1. A spice with a very long resume. Let's start at the beginning. Turmeric comes from a plant called Curcuma longa. It's part of the ginger family, and it's been grown across tropical Asia for thousands of years. In a 2017 review published in the journal Foods, researchers Hewlings and Kalman noted that the medicinal properties of turmeric have been recognized for thousands of years, but understanding exactly how it works is relatively recent. Now, turmeric isn't just one thing. Inside this golden root, there's a group of compounds called curcuminoid. The star of the show is curcumin. It makes up roughly 2 to 5% of turmeric. But here's the twist. What makes it yellow isn't what makes it powerful. It's the stuff that gives turmeric its deep yellow color. In a 2008 paper in the journal Cancer Letters, Kunumakara and colleagues explained that curcumin was first isolated back in 1842 by a scientist named Vogel, and its chemical structure was figured out in 1910. So here's what's interesting. In India, people have been using turmeric in curries for centuries. In Japan, they drink it as tea. In Malaysia, it's used as an antiseptic. In Pakistan, it's used for reducing swelling. In the United States, you'll find it in mustard sauce, cheese, and butter as a coloring agent. It's literally everywhere. And it has been for a very long time. But the question scientists wanted to answer was, does it actually do anything biologically? Or is it just a pretty color? Section 2. The big problem nobody expected. So researchers started testing curcumin in labs and in animals, and the results were exciting. It seemed to fight harmful cell changes, it seemed to reduce swelling and irritation in the body. It acted as a protective shield against damage caused by unstable molecules called free radicals. Basically, it was like a Swiss Army knife for cells. And if you're still watching, you're definitely getting into the really interesting part, so you might want to stay for it, but then came the catch. In a landmark study published in 1998 in the journal Planta Medica, Shobha and colleagues at St. John's Medical College in Bangalore found something surprising. When people swallowed curcumin, almost none of it showed up in their blood. The body was breaking it down too fast in the liver and intestines, and most of it was simply passing through without being absorbed. A 2007 paper in the journal Molecular Pharmaceutic by Anand and colleagues at MD Anderson Cancer Center confirmed this. They reported that even at high doses, we're talking up to 12 grams a day, curcumin was safe, but blood levels remained extremely low. The main reasons? Poor absorption, rapid breakdown by the body's own enzymes, and fast elimination. Think of it like this. Imagine you have an incredible medicine, but every time you try to swallow it, your body wraps it up and throws it out before it can do anything. That was curcumin's big problem. Section 3. Enter black pepper. The 2,000% breakthrough. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Remember that 1998 study from Planta Medica? The same team decided to test something clever. Black pepper contains a compound called piperine. It's the thing that gives pepper its sharp bite. Scientists already knew that piperine could slow down the body's process of breaking down certain substances in the liver. So they tried giving curcumin together with piperine to both rats and human volunteers. In rats, adding piperine increased curcumin absorption by about 154%. Not bad. But in humans, the increase was 2,000%. Yeah, that's not a typo. Let me say that again. 2,000%. That's 20 times more curcumin getting into the bloodstream just by adding a small amount of black pepper extract. The Anand team at MD Anderson also confirmed this find. In their crossover study with healthy volunteers, they found that just 5 milligrams of piperine, a tiny amount, nearly doubled the absorption of curcumin when measured as total curcumin in the blood. A large review published in 2012 in the AAPS journal by Gupta, Pachva, and Agarwal also highlighted this finding and noted that other approaches have been tried too. Things like wrapping curcumin in tiny fat particles called nanoparticles or mixing it with special fats called phospholipids. One product called Meriva, which combines curcumin with soy-based fat, showed about 29 times better absorption in a human study. But piperine remains the simplest and most accessible option for everyday people. So the lesson here is pretty straightforward. Curcumin alone has trouble getting into your body, but combined with piperine from black pepper, the picture changes dramatically. Now comes the part everyone cares about. And interestingly, traditional Indian cooking has always paired turmeric with black pepper long before any scientist ran a blood test. Section 4. What has science actually found? Alright, so now curcumin can get into the blood. What does it do once it's there? Let's look at what the research says. And I want to be really clear here. I'm going to report what scientists have found, not tell you what to do. I'm just showing you what the evidence says. You decide what it means. Fighting inflammation and oxidative stress. Inflammation, that's the body's swelling and redness response, is linked to many long-term health problems. In a 2009 review published in the journal Biochemical Pharmacology, researchers noted that curcumin's two main actions are reducing this inflammation and acting as an antioxidant, meaning it helps neutralize those unstable molecules that damage cells. A 2014 review in the journal Biotechnology Advances by Prasad and colleagues reported that curcumin can influence multiple signals inside cells. And here's why that matters. Chronic inflammation is linked to almost every major disease, the kind that control whether inflammation gets turned up or turned down. They described it as a compound that works on many targets at once, unlike most modern drugs that focus on just one target, joint health. In one of the earliest human trials described in a 2008 review in the journal Biochemistry and Cell Biology by Goel and colleagues, curcumin was compared head-to-head with a standard anti-inflammatory drug in patients with joint stiffness and pain. At a dose of 1,200 milligrams per day, curcumin performed comparably and was well tolerated with no reported side effects. Cancer research. Now, I want to be very careful here. Cancer is complex, and no one is saying curcumin cures cancer. But the volume of research is impressive. In a 2015 review in the journal Molecules, Shanmugam and colleagues summarized that curcumin's potential against harmful cell growth has been tested in clinical trials involving oral, lung, breast, pancreatic, and colorectal tissues. They noted that safety and effectiveness have been demonstrated in more than 65 completed trials, with an additional 35 ongoing at the time of publication, enrolling more than 6,000 human participants. Looking at curcumin's effects across many different conditions, in a 2018 review in the Journal of Translational Medicine, the same research group described curcumin as a compound with demonstrated effects against abnormal cell signals involved in many long-term diseases, not just one. They emphasize that what makes curcumin unique is its ability to influence multiple biological pathways at the same time: heart, brain, and metabolic health. A 2004 book chapter reviewing decades of curcumin research noted that curcumin has shown effects related to heart protection, including influencing cholesterol balance and reducing clotting tendency, and has been linked to potential benefits in supporting brain health, particularly regarding the kind of protein buildup associated with age-related cognitive decline. The 2012 review in the AAPS journal also described a study in healthy middle-aged people who took a special form of curcumin for 4 weeks. Researchers found improvements in several blood markers related to fat levels, liver function, and the body's antioxidant defenses. So when you zoom out, this isn't just about a spice anymore. Is it safe? I'm really curious about this. Here's the good news in the research. Curcumin has a remarkably strong safety record. Multiple phase 1 clinical trials, these are the studies specifically designed to test safety, have shown that curcumin is well tolerated at doses up to 12 grams per day for 3 months. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has classified curcuminoids as generally recognized as safe. The 2012 AAPS journal review did note that a small number of participants experienced mild effects, like loose stools, headache, or skin rash, but these were not consistent and did not appear to be related to the dose. That said, researchers have pointed out that curcumin may have mild blood-thinning properties, and a few studies have raised questions about interactions in very specific contexts. As with anything, the science is ongoing. So let's wrap up. What we have here is a kitchen spice, turmeric, that contains a compound called curcumin, which has been studied in more than 10,000 scientific papers and over 100 clinical trials. On its own, the body struggles to absorb it. But when combined with piperine from black pepper, absorption increases dramatically, up to 2,000% in one key study. The research suggests it has real biological activity, related to reducing inflammation, protecting cells from damage, and potentially influencing many different disease pathways. Is it a miracle cure? No, science doesn't work that way. I'd love to hear what you think. Have you used turmeric? Do you know about the black pepper connection? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this interesting, check out our other videos where we break down real science into real talk. See you next.